Hello everyone, welcome to the Redesigning School Counseling webinar for schools that are participating in RSC as renewal schools. The focus of this webinar is on your activity selection, and my name is Sue Reynolds and I'm with the American Student Achievement Institute. So here is today's agenda. First of all, we'll do a very quick review. Then we're going to focus on this month's activities, which are on activities. We'll do a walkthrough of the meeting. We'll look at the tasks that are the products of this discussion with your advisory council, and then the rubric items for those. And then we'll also get on to the online system and just kind of go through both the manual page and the process page to make sure that everybody's familiar with those. So again, looking at review. And hopefully this is real familiar to you by this point, but RSC believes there's a school counseling programs help students make sound choices in areas that impact academic success. So the focus of an RSC school counseling program is on helping kids make good choices. So here is the impact pyramid, and basically what we believe is that when kids are involved in sound guidance and counseling programs, they make better choices. And as a result of those two choices, achievement will go up. And then as we're designing your program this year, we just work this pyramid backwards. So we started out with what are your school's achievement goals, your academic goals in your school improvement plan. And then we looked at, okay, what choices do kids need to make in order to get to that point, in order for them to be able to reach those goals. And then this month we're talking about, okay, what are the guidance and counseling activities that we need to put in place in order to help kids make those choices. So in that choice section, in the red box, there's really two parts of that. One is your goals, and then the other are the root causes, the reason that students aren't making those choices, are not making those choices. So when we talk about activities today, those activities will be focused on your root causes that are underlying the goals that you have. Okay, so here's the process, just kind of another way of looking at it. We spent the first part of our time together just getting ready, looking at putting your steering team together, collecting data, developing your self-studies, and setting up your advisory council. Then we reviewed your vision statement and updated that. Then in September we looked at your program goals. Remember, those are student choices. We said, okay, what choices do we want kids to make? Then we knew that there were too many things to focus on all at once, so we worked on expanding your resources in October, and then we came up with a small number of priority goals. Since we couldn't do everything at once, we looked to, how can we get more time, more energy, more funding, and then once we had that in place, we said, okay, what can we do realistically? We can't do it all, but what can we do realistically? And that became our priority goals. Our priority goals are really the things that we want to drive. We put data to those goals, and a year from now, we'll look at follow-up data to see did those priority goals change. Okay, so then once we knew the priority goals, then last month we started looking at why aren't kids making those choices. Is it that they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the opportunities, there's personal or social stuff that's getting in the way? Why aren't kids making the choices that we want them to make? And then once we understood the whys, now we can look at activities. So our activities that we work on this month are going to address the whys. They're going to address those things that are keeping kids from making the choices that we want them to make. And again, it could be knowledge, lack of knowledge, could be lack of opportunities, could be social personal issues, could be several things. And the root causes are what really guide the design of our activities. Okay, and then next semester we'll then work on preparing for next year. So once we know what the activities are, then we'll be developing those activities. We'll write guidance lessons, we'll develop a calendar, we'll create a budget. So this month is the last of the planning phase, and then we're transitioning to action in second semester. Okay, So let me see if we have questions. And I'm not seeing any questions, so we'll move on. Okay, so this month we're looking at activities. And one of the things that we wanted to point out is that there is a pre-meeting mailing. And we want your advisory council to do some thinking and some exploring of activities before they come to your meeting. So let's look over that memo. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. And the memo looks like this. Okay. So, we're telling people the logistics for your next meeting, and then we're saying at this point we have created program goals and priority goals. As a reminder, your priority goals are listed below along with the root causes. So in this section you will type the priority goals to increase the percentage of students who complete a graduation plan, who enroll in an AP class, who ask questions in class, who visit a college campus, whatever it is, whatever the choices are that you want kids to make. And then in the right-hand column, you're going to explain why kids aren't making those choices. So what are the root causes? If one of your goals is to get kids to create a graduation plan, one of the root causes might be that you don't give kids the opportunity to create a graduation plan. Or that there's, the majority of your kids have significant personal social issues that are interfering with their ability to do anything, to make any good choices at school. So you're writing in the root causes, and this is just kind of a reminder to everybody, here's where we've come. We've got these goals, and we've got an explanation about why kids aren't doing what we want them to do in those areas. And now we're talking then about targeted activities. So at our next meeting, we will brainstorm activities that we might implement next year to address our priority goals. The school counseling activities should address the root causes that are keeping students from making the targeted choices in our priority goals. So this is the pre-meeting task. We want people to think about guidance, counseling, and advocacy activities that you might implement to help you reach your priority goals. And these activities should include guidance activities, counseling activities, and advocacy activities. And then we've defined each of these as a reminder to people what these terms mean. So step one is just to think, what could we do? Our kids aren't completing a graduation plan right now. What could we do? Then in step two, we're going to ask your advisory council members to use 2 activity search tools to look for activities that have been implemented by others that might be addressing the same priority goal that you have. So these are coming from, these databases are coming from 2 of our initiatives. The first one, the School Counseling Activity Search, is actually coming from Redesigning School Counseling. So all of the 400 schools or so that have used actually more than that, but all of the schools that have used RSC have entered their activities online, and you can go in and search. So you could say, show me a list of all the activities that include the words graduation plan, and then see what other schools are doing. So that's the first one. The second one is a database that we've compiled through a different initiative called the College Success Coalition. And that is a group of 1,800 community organizations that are doing community-based academic and career guidance. So it's service clubs like Kiwanis, it's Boy Scout troops, it's boys clubs, it's public libraries, it's mayor's offices, community foundations. So there's 1,800 organizations that have implemented into this database over 3,000 activities. So one of the things that, before we started recording, one of the schools we were chatting with said that they we're kind of looking forward to the people on their advisory council maybe thinking about how they could help implement activities. And this would be a great way to help folks understand what they could do as a community organization to complement what you're doing as a school counselor. So at any rate, so let's look at both of these databases. And let's see, the first one is I thought I had opened those up, though, I guess. Oh, yes, they opened here. Okay. So the first one, this is the RSC database of the activities that school counselors have entered. So when I click on that link or enter that link as one of your advisory council members, I'm going to go here. And let's say that let's say that your goal, your priority goal was to increase the percentage of kids who could identify their career interests. So what I can do is to just put in these words, career interest, and I could say show me activities that are just for 8th graders, or I could say show me career interest activities that are specifically designed for the African American population or Hispanic or free and reduced lunch kids. If you're trying to close a gap, that's a good search item. You could say I want to see activities that are just designed for classroom guidance or individual guidance, whatever there. And then also, that in this case you'd be looking for career guidance. But if you wanted to not put any words up here into the search box, you could just click career and all the different career activities would come up. So one thing that people like to do is they may say, okay, they might just click 3rd grade and career to see what other school counselors are doing around career development for 3rd graders. Okay, and then another thing you can do is if you find a school that has a really great school counseling program, you could type in the school's name and just leave everything else blank and just see what that school is doing. Or another thing that I like to do is when I know which counselors have received the Indiana School Counselor Association awards for being the Counselor of the Year, I like to see what they're doing. So if they've done RSC, I can put that person's name in or part of that person's name, and all of the activities that they've entered will pop up. Okay, but this time I'm not going to narrow down too much. I'm just going to put career interest here, and I don't know what we're going to get, but let me search. And we ended up with there being 6 lesson plans in here that are around career interests. So here's one that what Zionsville West Middle School put in around career interest assessment, drive your life for 6th graders. Here is a career interest inventory. Actually, this is one that I put in. And another thing that you can do that's kind of, I think, interesting is we don't have any way, we don't review these activities as they get loaded into the system, but to help you see, to help you find activities that others think are maybe worthwhile, you can look to see, are there any other schools that have imported this lesson? And you can see that in this case, there are 17 schools that imported this career interest inventory activity. So that's an option that you have. Down here, the last thing you can click is that if you like this, you can click the Import into my school's lesson plans. That will import this lesson directly into the RSC system for you, and then you can go in and edit it and change it to make it, customize it for your school, but at least the initial lesson plan will load into your RSC system. When it loads in, it also gives credit to the original author, because we think that that's important. So make sure you leave that on. Another thing I wanted to show you is on viewing the full lesson plan. You can see that in one of the sections, there's a link where the original author can give you resources. So in this case, we've given you a couple of resources to use. Okay, so But you can see, you know, that one was uploaded 17 times. Here's another one at 6 schools like this one at Mississinawa High School. So they've uploaded that. So that's just kind of an interesting way for you to see how others have reviewed the different lessons. Okay, so that's one way, and so your advisory council is going to go in and they're going to say, you know, okay, they're going to read what other schools are doing so that they can come to your meeting with some ideas. Then the other searchable database of community organization activities is with the College Success Coalition. And this, I think, is really, I think this is really cool. So let's say that I'm a public library, and I'm thinking, you know, gosh, maybe there's community activities that we could do to support career development, and maybe there's something I could do as the public library to help with this. So I'm going to type in the word career, and then I can say, you know, that I want to do these activities. I want activities that are designed for parents or for college students or middle school students, or, you know, whatever level. Something that is brand new, and actually this has only been live for a couple of weeks, is that you could also say, show me activities that have been approved by the state of Indiana for the Scholar Success Program. Remember, in Indiana with 21st Century Scholars, students are required to participate in guidance activities to maintain their eligibility in that scholarship program. And the activities can be implemented okay, I'm reading questions, and I'm seeing questions here. Not seeing any link, just the meeting 5 list. Not seeing any lessons, just the RSC manual page. Huh, that's interesting. Can't see the screen they're talking about. I don't know why that would be. Let me thank you for giving me those alerts. You can't see that. Huh. Not me. Okay, it says we're on the air. Let me, Kate, I'm going to unmute you again, and let's just talk about this. Let me see what you can see. Okay, Kate, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so what are you seeing on your screen right now?
I'm just seeing where we go, where it says meeting 5, activities updates, and it has the handouts and the tools and the things that we click on to use. That's all I can see.
Okay.
When you went from the email that we send to go to the links to lessons and stuff, it went to this page, and then I haven't been able to see anything but this page the rest of this.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, let me try something. I switched to a different browser. That should not have made any difference. But
that's the page where you were just right then. That's the page I see.
Okay, so you're seeing the manual page. Okay, let me paste that into here. Now, do you see search activities? Yeah. Okay.
Now it's the 21st century page. Yeah. I think. Well, it's,
okay.
Yeah, search activities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just back up real quickly then. Thank you guys for letting me know that. Let's see. So I'll go back to the other browser, and here is the. Yep, that should work. Copy that. And oops. Okay, like this. Okay, so are you seeing now RSC in the top left?
Yes, and the lesson plans. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so good. Well, I talked through it, so hopefully some of it made sense, but just to give you the visual, and I'm going to mute you again, and if we continue to have problems, I'm not going to use that the Explorer anymore. We'll just do it all in Chrome. So let me go ahead and make that small. Okay, and I'll go ahead and mute you, Kate, so that you don't have to worry about the background noise again. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So that was great, and I'm going to leave my control panel open, and I had made it small so it wasn't hiding my screen, but I'll leave it open so that I can see your hands shoot up if we have an issue. Okay, thank you. So basically, this was the RSC database search tool that school counselors have put in, and so I put the word career interest in, and then did a search, and we came up with 6 activities, and this is where I was talking about that this activity had been imported by 17 schools, so that must be one that counselors thought was well written and worthwhile. If you like an activity, all you have to do is click Import to My School's Lesson Plans. Yeah, and then to view the full lesson, you click there, and then any resources that have been uploaded to go with the lesson appear as well. So, okay, so that's that, and then let's go over, so I was most recently talking about, this is the activity database with the College Success Coalition, which we hope that all schools in Indiana will join. But in here, just to give you an example, I could put in the word career. If I'm a public library and I'm on your advisory council, I might say, what do I do? So I'm going to type in the word career, and then I'll come back to this 21st Century Scholars thing in a minute. But I'm just going to type in career. But then this database has this field, implementing organization type. So I can go and say, show me what public libraries are doing. And then hit the search tool, and again, I don't know what's going to come up, but there's 14 activities that public libraries across the state are doing to support career development. So, if I'm a library, I can just kind of read through here and see, what other libraries are doing, to support what the schools are doing, what the school counselors are doing. So, okay, then you do want to talk, because this is brand new, and I know in Indiana, school counselors are really starting to pay attention now in high schools about helping kids meet the guidance requirements to maintain their eligibility for the 21st Century Scholars Program. And so another thing I can do is I can just say, show me what people are doing to help folks create a graduation plan. And then down here in public library, I'm going to leave that blank. So this will show me organizations throughout the state without narrowing that down. And so I can go in and search that database to see what organizations are doing to help kids create the graduation plan. These activities, these SSP activities, one of the requirements is that the students have to have fully met the requirement when they walk out the door. So, for example, on Take a College entrance exam, an SAT prep program would not be able to be an SSP requirement program because when kids walk out the door, they've prepared for the SAT, but they've not taken it. So the students have to have met the requirement before the activity can be considered an SSP requirement. So as a school counselors, we're really strongly recommending to all school counselors that they join the coalition and they enter their SSP activities, if not all activities, into the coalition database so that kids and parents and community members can find your activities. It's great for advocacy, as well as it's great for helping kids find activities in the community, including the schools. Just a couple other things on that. To join the coalition, I think we've talked about this in previous months, but you just go to learnmoreindiana.org/CSC, And that will bring you to this page, and then just click on the name of your county and then join today. So and that's how to join. And then as part of joining, you enter your guidance activities into this database. Unfortunately, the RSC database and the CSC database don't talk to each other. That's something we'd love to do, but right now they're two separate initiatives, so you have to enter them twice. And then one other thing, just because this is brand new, and we're just wanting to make sure that everybody is learning about this. So there's another site then for kids and parents called Learn More Indiana/SSP, and on that one, if I'm a student, I can go in, or a parent or counselor, I can go in and click Find Scholar Success Program Activities, and then I can click off which requirement I'm trying to meet, and I can also enter in some other information to narrow down that search and then do the search. All of the SSP activities are being reviewed by people at the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. So when these activities get published, they will be well written and well thought out activities. So that's happening right now. So I think we're good to go with that. Okay. Okay. Then, so let's go back now to the letter. And I think we kind of wrapped that up. So the memo's going out. We're asking people to, remember what your goals and your root causes are. And then we're asking them to think about activities, and then the search for activities, and bring any new ideas with you, or any ideas with you, to our next meeting. Okay, so that will kind of prime the pump a little bit for your discussions, because people will have thought about this stuff before they come to meet with you. Okay, so that's the pre-meeting mailing. And then, okay, the next thing is the walkthrough. Okay, so here's the walkthrough. Oops, wrong slide. Sorry about that. Here we go. First slide. Okay, so here's the pre-meeting. Here's the walkthrough of the meeting. So we're going over the agenda, and we're talking about how we're going to do a goals crosswalk and an activity crosswalk to really help us decide, do we have the right activities for our program. So then we are reviewing and going through the design process. We're reminding people that after each discussion there's been a product, and we have 5 products already, and we're doing the final one today, which is to identify the activities that we'll implement. Okay, so now we're talking with the council about this month. So we're meeting with them face-to-face, you're in front of them, and you're going through first a review. So we want to make sure that everybody can understand the vocabulary, so we're reviewing that there are 4 counseling activity types: guidance, counseling, advocacy, and management. Then we're redefining what each of these words mean. So guidance activities help students, and we kind of go over this. One of the things I'd really emphasize here is that the implementers of guidance activities don't have to be just school counselors. And here might be where you introduce, for example, you might be thinking, what could your organization do to help us meet our goals? Okay, then counseling activities, we're going through that definition with them, and advocacy activities, and management activities. And then finally, the non-program activities. Okay, so the next part of the review is to remind people what our activities need to focus on. So, for example, we want to, if we start at the bottom here, we're picking activities that will impact the root causes behind our goals. So if our goal is to increase the percentage of free and reduced seniors who are taking an AP or do a credit course, then we've identified these as being the root causes. So now we need to find activities that will address those root causes. So this is real important. We want to make sure that when we get to the activities part, that people aren't just randomly picking activities because they think they'll be fun, or because the school down the road's doing it, or because they read an article on it. We really want our activities to be focused on those root causes so that will impact the goal. It's really important. And it's really easy to get off here and to just start talking about what we want to do because we think it will be fun, or because we've always done it, or whatever. Okay, so today's question is, what activities should we implement to address the root causes that are interfering with our program goals? And we're going to look at 4 different kinds of activities. And then we're also going to talk about who's going to implement those activities. Is it going to be only school counselors, or is it also going to be teachers or people in the community? Who will be the implementers? So the first question that we're looking at today is, do we have sufficient activities to impact our priority goals? Maybe we already have everything we already need in place. But if not, then do we need to delete the goal because we don't have the time and energy to do activities to support it? Or do we want to revise the current activity, make it happen more often, or in more depth, or with more students, or somehow revise something we're already doing? Or do we need to add 1 or more new activities to help kids make those choices? Then, so in this first question, let me back up. In the first question, we're looking at the priority goals. And again, we know that you've focused on 2 or 3, maybe even 1 priority goal. Second question is, do we have sufficient activities to impact our non-priority goals? So just because there's a goal that is not a priority goal, that doesn't mean that it's a goal that we're going to ignore. So do we also have activities that are going to support our non-priority goals? And then again, if not, do we get rid of the goal? Do we revise the current activity? Do we add new activities? And then finally, we want to look at each of our activities that we're currently doing and say, do these activities support at least 1 of our goals? And if not, then why are we doing the activity? Do we need to delete the activity? Or is there a goal that we missed? We're doing this activity because we really do have this other goal that we haven't entered into our thinking. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to look at identifying activities. And the report that we're going to use for this is the Priority Goals Crosswalk. So prior to getting to this point in the discussion, you have entered all of your current activities into the system. And then you're going to pass out at your meeting the Priority Goals Crosswalk. So let me show you what that looks like. And we'll go back to the browser that I think you can see. And let's see, oops. I'm going to go to the process page. And I think I'm logged in as Franklin Middle School, who's given us permission to demonstrate with their system. Okay, so I am looking for, down to December, I am looking for the control panel out of the way. I am looking for the Program Goals Crosswalk. This is what I'm passing out at the meeting. So I'm going to click on that report. And here's what that crosswalk looks like. So basically what we've done is we've put in your goals, and then we've said that we've listed any activities that you've associated with that goal, or we've said there's no activities. So if I'm working with you in your school, I'm looking at okay, we have a small number of priority goals. First one is we want students to attend a program to learn how to pay for college. And we don't have any activities in. Now, it may just be that Franklin Middle School has an activity and they haven't put it online yet, but let's just pretend they don't have any activities. So I have no associated activities, so that's a clue to me that I need to add activities for that priority goal. Then the next one, I've written a plan for the future, visited a college campus. So this is kind of then guiding the creation of the activities. We're doing activities that are going to address the root causes behind these goals. So, okay, so that is the crosswalk. And I'm going to come back to the PowerPoint so you can see how that all works. So we're identifying activities and we're passing out the priority goals crosswalk. Okay, so we're going to look at one goal at a time. So whatever that first priority goal is, to come to a meeting about, we want kids to come to a meeting about financial aid. I'm going to type that priority goal at the top of this screen. Then I'm going to type in the root causes here, and I'm going to identify, is this an opportunity root cause or is this a knowledge root cause? So I'm looking at the root causes, and then I'm saying, okay, let's look at the goals crosswalk report. Are there activities that aren't working very well, they're not helping the kids to meet this goal, and we just want to get rid of them? Are there activities that we should revise? And so we're looking at, at the goals crosswalk report and asking those questions. Then on this screen, we're saying, okay, do we need to add activities for this goal? So, and again, you're adding the first goal up here, and now we're just going to do a brainstorm. This is a poster that you have, so you can be, writing up people's ideas as you go. So, and then after the poster is finished, you're just going to decide, is each of these activities something that we should do, or is it something that should be parked? And it may be that you all decide we're not going to do any new activities. The ones we have seem to be working. We think we just need to expand them maybe a little bit or whatever. So you don't have to add new activities, although I think most schools do for their priority goals. Okay, so that's goal one. And then what we're going to do is the same 3 steps for each of your priority goals. So for goal 2, you're going to go back, and this time you'll write the root causes for goal 2 in, and then you're going to look at the crosswalk report and decide if there's activities that need to be omitted or revised, and then for goal 2 you'll discuss additional activities. And then you'll do the same thing for goal 3 and goal 4. So you're thinking about each of your priority goals very carefully in designing those activities. Remember, a year from now we're going to look at follow-up data to see if those activities collectively made a difference in that student choice. Okay, so now we're going to do kind of the same thing for your non-priority goals. So what we're doing here is we're saying to everybody that on that crosswalk report, in the let me go back to the report real quickly and show you this. Make sure you have that visual. So up in the top part of the report are your priority goals, and then if I scroll down, here are the non-priority goals. So we're telling folks that in the non-priority section of the report that your steering team has flagged some non-priority goals that you'd like to impact in a minor way. It's not going to be something we're going to do, hog wild like we are with the priority goals. But these are things that you feel just aren't working as well either, and you want to help kids make better choices in those areas. So for any of the non-priority goals that you've starred, we're asking folks which activities should be omitted, which activities should be revised, and are there activities that we should add. And again, you may decide that there's no non-priority goals that you want to have this discussion about, and that would be fine. But if you do want to have some discussions, rather than talking about every single one of those 70 goals, we're going to kind of narrow down based on the steering team input to goals that you'd like some discussion around. Okay. Okay, and then for each of your non-priority goals, we're going to replicate those 3 slides and do that for those 2 slides and have that discussion as well. Okay, and then, so that's one part where we're looking at the goals and seeing, talking about the activities underneath those goals. Then there's also one other check we want to do. It's called the Activity Crosswalk Check. And there's another report. Let me show you that. the, oops, I forgot to turn off my instant messaging, so my staff may send some messages as we go. Okay, so activity crosswalk report, I'm going to go back to the online system, and I'm now looking at the activities crosswalk report. I'll go over here and click the report icon, and this time we have listed each of the activities that you've entered and written down what goals they support. So let me see if they have any flags in here. Yep. So they have an activity called character education with no goals associated. And again, these activity names, I suspect when they go in and update this year, they'll make some of these activity titles more descriptive. Any activity title, you should be able to close your eyes and picture what's going on. And with an activity title that's just character education, as a community council member, an advisory council member, I don't know what that is. Guest speakers, I don't know if that's about social personal development, career development, how often it's happening, who's coming in, which students are participating. That the title alone should be a standalone. People should be able to close their eyes and picture the activity just from the title. So, okay, but you can see what happens. Let's say this was a really well-written title, and now I'm getting this flag that this activity is not associated with any goals. So the question is then, why am I doing that activity? Is there a goal there that is really I do have but I just haven't entered? Or is this an activity that I really could just get rid of and save some time because it's not associated with any of our goals? Okay, so what we're doing here is we're looking at the activity crosswalk report, and we're asking your advisory council to look at the report, and for each activity, does the activity support a program goal? And then if not, should we delete the activity or add a new goal? So that's just a discussion around that. Okay, and then finally, we're looking at the final check, which is to remind folks, here's the amount of time we have available as school counselors. Next year, we said that we're going to spend 40% of our time on guidance, 20% on counseling, 5% on advocacy. You're going through that. And then so you'll type in those time percentages. And then you'll ask everybody, realistically, given the time that we have available, are the activities that we have planned realistic? So, and this is your chance to say, I don't think I can get all these activities done in the 40% of our time that we've allotted for guidance. And then you have some choices. You can either get rid of some goals and the associated activities to make that fit in the time percentage that you allocated. Or you can decide, let's change the time percentages. Guidance it's so important we get in these guidance activities. Let's cut back on our counseling. Let's do less group counseling this year, and we'll really hit that classroom guidance. So this is a chance for you to tweak either your time percentages or the amount of activities that you're doing if it is not realistic in your year. Remember that anything that you put into this plan in terms of your goals, your council is going to hold you accountable for, and realistically you're probably holding yourself accountable for those goals. So we don't want to overextend you. If that happens, you'll do everything in a mediocre way, and you won't nail those goals. So this is the time to get realistic about this and not promise more than you can do. So please speak up with your council if you feel like your activities that you have in are going to spread you too thin, or if your time percentages don't align with the activities that you have planned. So, okay. Another thing you're looking at is resources available for next year. If one of your activities is to take kids on a campus tour to 3 or 4 college campuses, post-secondary campuses, and you have no money to do that, then this is the time to think, okay, this is a mismatch. I either need to take that activity out, or advisory council, we have to figure out a way to get the funding. So again, this is a chance for you to tweak the resources one last time, or to make your plan match the available resources. And then finally, we also want to make sure that your activities are meeting all of the outside requirements that you need to meet as a school counselor. So we want to make sure that you're considering state laws. For example, in Indiana, students in grades 6 through 12 have to have an Indiana graduation plan. So is that in your activities? Also, there needs to be bullying prevention instruction. Is that in your activities? Doesn't have to be implemented by the school counselor. It could be implemented, by a teacher as part of some other curriculum. But we just want to make sure that you're nailing those two. And then for Ask a Ramp, does at least one activity address a specific student group? And there is another report that's going to help you look at that. Let's go find that real quickly. State. I'm looking at the student group or gaps crosswalk report. So I'm going to click on that report. And this is oops. Well, that may be going to the wrong report. Oh, there it is. I clicked on the wrong thing. So what this is doing is giving you each of your student groups, and it's telling you, do you have any specific activities for that student group? So I should be able to find at least one for ASCA, where you've designed activities around a guidance gap. So as you looked at your survey reports, you've discovered that your affluent whites are making more sound choices than your free and reduced Hispanic kids. So you want to focus on providing additional or targeted guidance for your Hispanic students, low-income Hispanic students, lower income. So, so this report will kind of help you know that. A lot of times I get the question, where did this data come from? When you enter your lesson plans, which you'll do second semester, but when you enter your lesson plans, there's a question there that says, is this lesson plan targeting a student group? And then you'll name the student group that that lesson plan is targeting. So, and then same thing as you're entering your activities. Oh, I misspoke. As you're entering your activities right now, there's a question that says, is this activity targeting a student group? Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, and then also for ASCA, at least one of your activities has to be a group counseling activity. So when you click on the type of activity, when you're entering the activities, at least one of them has to be group counseling. That's an ASCA requirement for RAMP. Okay, and then for Indiana, does at least one of your activities, does at least one of your activities address a student group? Does at least one of your activities address group counseling? So same too as ASCA. And then also for Indiana, are there at least 3 academic guidance activities? Are there at least 3 career guidance activities and at least 3 personal social guidance activities? Later you'll be asked to write lesson plans for these activities, but we need to make sure that you have at least 9 activities in and there's 3 in each of the domains. And then also for Indiana, there is the requirement that you have activities that address each of the Indiana student standards for guidance. So there's one more crosswalk in there, and let me show you that one. So in this one, it's the guidance standards crosswalk, and I'll click on that report. And this will give me each of the Indiana student standards for guidance and then the activities that are addressing that. So, of course, Franklin Middle School has not entered in all their activities yet. So, but normally this is one of the areas that Indiana schools have to work on. After you get all your activities in, you may have one guidance standard that doesn't have any activities to support it, and you'll need to tweak your your activities to make sure that that happens, and probably add in an activity. Okay. Remember too that as you're entering activities, we'll go back and review that in a second, but one activity can address 4 or 5 different indicators. Don't feel like you have to have a separate activity for each indicator. You can have multiple indicators be addressed by one activity. Okay, so that is that part. And then finally, the last part you're looking at is a consensus check. After you've talked about all the activities, you're just asking council, can you guys live with these activities, and can you publicly support them? And so it's one last chance for everybody, including you, to say this is not going to work, and then talk that out. Okay, so that's that. Let me see if we have any questions. Any hands up or questions coming in? Nope. I think we're good. Okay, so let's look at the online system. All the different tools that you have available. Okay, so today's webcast will be printed here. Here's the memo to the Advisory Council members. If you click on this, this is a download. So you'll be able to print that memo and either email attach it or send it out in the mail to your Advisory Council. Here's where you enter your current program activities. Let's look at that. So remember, you've got to do that because this is what populates all those CROSSWALK reports. So your current activities will appear in here. You'll want to go in and edit activities, like let's say career day for 8th graders. I can go in and edit anything that's been written in here. I would suggest that for each of your current activities that you check the association with the program goals. So I'm going to click this, and you can see that this activity has been associated with one goal, maybe more, but as you scroll down you'll find the ones to associate it with. And I would make sure that those have all been associated correctly. Also, when you're updating, let's see, on the group of students, this is where you would enter, if this is a guidance gap activity, you're going to check the group of students that this addresses. And I think that's the main parts I wanted to show you. So that's for a current activity, and then if you're adding in activities, you're just going to enter program activity, and it's just fill in the blanks. One thing I'd really encourage you again is to make sure that your activity title is descriptive so that people can close their eyes and picture what's going on. And then in the description that you want to go into even more detail, the who, what, when, where, that description of the activity. Okay, so program type, program goals we just looked at, guidance indicators we looked at, grade level, student groups, anticipated implementation months. This part is going to populate your program calendar, so make sure you're thinking about that. Who's going to be responsible to make sure that this activity gets implemented? Your advisory council members will, your steering team members will be listed here, but you can also say somebody not listed here, and then that'll give you a text box. So you can see at Franklin they identified some community organizations as well, Youth Connections. So, or teachers, probably maybe part of a teacher advisory program. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to the process page. So we have entered the current program activities. We talked about the crosswalks. This is a place also for you to explore guidance lesson plans that counselors have put in, or community activities that the community organizations have entered. You're going to conduct the advisory council meeting. This will take you to the manual where you'll download the PowerPoint. Here's the student group crosswalk, the guidance standards crosswalk. This is just a place for you to update your program activities. You can also do that up here in the current program activities section. We put that in here just to kind of remind you that after you do all these crosswalks, you'll probably need to make some adjustments to your activities. And then you're entering the meeting minutes, nothing new there. And finally, let's look at the rubric items. Okay, so the guidance standards crosswalk for Indiana, we want to make sure that one or more are present for each of the Indiana Universal Student Standards for Guidance. This note is no longer applicable. Also, we'll add in here that there's at least one guidance gap activity and at least one group counseling activity. And then oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. Going down, it's going to appear. So in program activities, at least one advocacy activity is present, at least one management activity is present, the title and the program are present, and description is clear, and the description includes which students will be participating, and then I'll add in the two new ones that we talked about, the group counseling and the guidance gap activity. So yeah, so that's it. Let me see. I think that basically does it. So let's see if we have any other questions. Any hands up or typed in questions? And I'm not seeing any hands up. So let's go to the typed in questions. Okay, not seeing any typed in questions either, so I think we're good. You can see that this is kind of a comprehensive meeting. It tends to be a very energetic meeting because we've done all of our research and now we're talking about action, which tends to get people energized. We usually have very good reports coming out of this meeting. But you can see that it's a meeting that where you've got to do some prep too. There's the mailing that goes out, and there's all the crosswalk reports that need to be printed. And then this is a meeting where I would do some definite rehearsing for, so that as the different slides come up, you know which reports you're referring to. You can kind of walk people through that. So, okay, so that does it. And just a reminder to folks, I always like to end with this thought that, oops, here's all the online stuff. One reminder to don't commit to implementing more than you have the time or the resources to do. That this is something that you'll want to be accountable for. So we want to make sure that you're not overextending yourself. And then finally, just remember that you make a difference in the lives of young people. So we hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season and some restful time off from school with friends and family, and that you just have a joyous holiday. So we will see everybody back in January, and then in January we're going to prep for the entire second semester. So we'll see everybody then, and thank you for your participation today. Thank you.